I'm with Matthew Postgate, and we're at the Thinking Digital conference in Gateshead, where Matthew, you've just given a very interesting talk about the relevance of the BBC in light of YouTube, and we can all make our own films now. What is the point of a big broadcaster like the BBC?
Yeah, the speech that I gave was really kind of to pull together some of the themes that we've been thinking about inside the BBC and inside BBC R&D, and really it's my view that broadcasters and the concept of broadcasting was very relevant in the industrial age. It's something that brought society together. It's something that provided a really important part of society and social life. And that actually, as we move into the information age, which is necessarily more information centric, it's a really important concept to reinterpret and update and to deliver across the new technologies that the information age offers. So the speech was really about understanding what broadcasting really meant in the industrial age and taking those fundamentals and seeing how they could be reinterpreted in the information age. And my conclusion, having gone through the thinking process around this stuff over the last couple of years, is actually broadcasting is going to be incredibly important and incredibly exciting in the information age as we kind of build a new broadcasting system to kind of deliver it in a new different way.
What are those fundamentals, and how's that going to sort of change?
I think for the BBC, the mission's always been the same, and it's always endured through the advent of television and colour television and different technologies, and that's fundamentally we exist to inform, educate and entertain. It's always been that simple, and in some ways it will continue to be that simple. But the way in which we inform audiences or entertain or provide education changes completely with the information age. And I think we need to understand that as a broadcaster, we've got a very different relationship with audiences. In terms of informing, for example, I used a screenshot of the news live page from Obama's visit yesterday, and it shows that alongside the kind of trusted, curated video stream that the BBC was providing, we also were showing what was going on Twitter to provide that additional context. And actually that we had this kind of almost curatorial role, but we had to kind of understand that our role is providing one aspect of that coverage in a much broader ecosystem of information that's flying around about that event. And that by sort of accepting that role and using linking to other conversations, then we're kind of contributing to the debate in an interesting and new and perhaps even more important way than a time when actually you relied on broadcasts to give you the single view of an event such as that. So that would be one aspect of reinterpreting, inform, educate and entertain in this new environment. And we also started to play with kind of other aspects like the concept of live. Live used to be a programme is shown Tuesday 9 o'clock, you either see it or you don't. And now information age technologies are sort of extending that concept. Live through iPlayer now means a week, and actually we can see that you still have that kind of national conversation around sort of topics. But equally, I showed some of the experiments that the team have been working on about extending the concept of live from being on a single screen to being on two screens. So the dual screen work that we did around Autumn Watch, where you can consume the programme on your main television in the house, but also receive additional synchronised information on a portable device at the same time. So you're seeing all of these fundamental concepts that together make up what was broadcasting being reinterpreted in the much richer creative palette that the information age technologies offer.
So is there anything else that R&D is working on that you're allowed to tell us about that we might see launched onto our screens soon?
Well, we've obviously been working on things around the Olympics, and we're looking forward to enhancing the coverage of that event next year. We're still thoroughly engaged in digital switchover, so for many people they're moving onto digital as we just finish off that process. We've been increasing our HD presence across television as well. So those are all kind of quite traditional broadcast sort of innovation. Equally, within the department, we've got teams working on the more web-centric kind of areas, thinking about social discovery, thinking about how programs might be enhanced via the web, and new editorial formats as well, so storytelling in different ways. So it's a pretty interesting time, and it's the breadth of work that's going on in the department that sometimes takes me back.
Right, and finally, I mean, you've probably picked up on a bit of a buzz while you've been up here in the northeast, about Media City starting up, about the BBC move here. What does that mean for R&D? Can you give us a bit of an update on the R&D staff that are moving into Salford and what's happening there?
Yeah, we've been preparing for the BBC at large to move up to make a significant move up to Media City UK for the last couple of years. So, you know, it's my view that, you know, R&D is something that takes place over quite a long time period. So we've had a lab up here for the last couple of years. It's gradually been growing. They've been in temporary accommodation, and those guys are moving across to their permanent lab site in a couple of weeks' time in Media City UK. And that's the moment at which they'll be able to work side by side with colleagues from children and sports who traditionally have driven a lot of the innovation inside the BBC. They're both address audiences who are very keen to adopt new kind of forms of media consumption. So we've also got people coming from our lab in the south on exchanges and working closely with the researchers up here. So this is really the moment where for us we can really get stuck in, and all the preparation work we've put in over the last couple of years comes to fruition as we start working alongside the other parts of the BBC who have been arriving over the last month and will continue to be arriving over the next couple of months.
Is it a different opportunity in the north?
I think that all of our we have 3 laboratory sites, and you know, whilst we've got one department that's underpinned by our kind of core values around engineering excellence and serving the public service kind of remit, each of those labs is beginning to develop its own identity, and it's to do with who's working in those labs. It's to do with what topics they're looking at, and also very importantly, it's to do with what collaborative partnerships they have around those different geographical sites. So one of the reasons for us having multiple sites is that we get a broader range of collaboration. I think in the north, you know, we've got some of our younger engineers. They're looking at some of the more web-centric kind of areas of innovation, some of the more IP-centric areas of innovation. They're already working with universities such as Manchester and Salford and Lancaster, and again, you get this very sort of strong entrepreneurial culture in the north. So that's beginning to kind of develop quite an interesting and vibrant and young and kind of buzzy atmosphere in that lab, which I really enjoy when I'm working from this side. It'll be interesting to see how that develops over the next couple of years. I think they've got a really good foundation, and you know, this event is part of that. So we'll see where they take it.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.